Good afternoon. My warm greetings to the august gathering and the sagacious jury members. By the time the people in Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka would have stopped queuing in front of the polling stations, getting their fingers inked, thousands of crores of rupees would have vanished from the state exchequers. Not just that, thousands of police and paramilitary personnel who were sent on election duty for a span of 30 to 40 days will report back, only to be sent again the next year. And as soon as this round of elections for the year 2018 culminates, and you and I begin to think that the dust has finally settled, it will rise again. This time from some other part of the country, because election season in India never seems to end. Esteemed judges, as I extrapolate and interpolate through my point of view, let me begin by rebutting that simultaneous elections are in no way a planned path towards elected dictatorship. In today's times, where a country like China, with its single dominant party, is recognized as a democracy, it is rather baseless to draw allegations to our leaders elected through simultaneous elections back in the 1950s and the 1960s. I have a very broad perspective about the topic being discussed here today. With the provision of the electoral rules, it becomes all the more easier to elect leaders for the state assemblies as well as the Lok Sabha. And why just stop there and then, when we can very well incorporate the third most important tier of decentralized power, the Panchayati Raj. Incorporating all of these three under the umbrella term of one nation, one poll will definitely have an impact on federalism and regionalism only by strengthening it and not otherwise. My counterparts have provided a lot of arguments, and I do understand it will have its own share of challenges. But when you measure the cost-effect benefits of this approach with the current ongoing electoral procedures that are followed in India, it is right to say that one nation, one poll is a very novel approach. From regulating the number of times the Election Commission implements the Model Code of Conduct to judiciously managing our resources and our forces, one nation, one poll benefits us all for good. Legally speaking, if the government does want to go ahead with simultaneous elections, it can very well do so. But what is the common opinion is what is being discussed and debated throughout the entire length and breadth of the country. Worthy audience, with over 2,000 political parties and numerous national parties, the question that there will be overshadowing and overpowering of one political party by the other is one that does not surface. I personally believe that people who claim that one nation, one poll will cause one party to be at power at both the tiers of government are blatantly undermining the power of the Indian voter of today, who is but much informed and much aware. What the kicking in of one nation, one poll will do is that it will allow the regional parties to think for the national interest and for the national parties to think for the regional. Which means that the problems and the concerns of the tribes of Jharkhand and the tea cultivars of Assam will be weighed equally and heard and not just listened to with the same resonance, thereby once again strengthening federalism and regionalism in India. Please remember that a federal form of government, though a necessity, is not what is truly practiced in India. As Fali Nariman, the great Indian jurist, says, in India, there is neither a federal nor a unitary, but a non-unitary form of government. Worthy counterparts, I do understand that the approach will have its own fair share of uphills and challenges, like what if a condition that our state is personally facing these days, what if a condition like that comes up? But I'm certain that our policymakers will have thought about certain exceptions and certain provisions that can be made in such a situation. Let me summarize my point of view by presenting the idea presented in a Niti Aayog report by Deb Roy and Desai. It argues that, as is the case with long-term structural reforms, this approach will have its own fair share of challenges, but in the long run, it will allow good governance and wider implementation of electoral reforms. Esteemed judges, I am of no stature to correct Niti Aayog, but I can say that what is referred to as pain is a mere inconvenience. Let us once again restore our faith in the brains of our bureaucracy. Let us rise above our political motives and think for the greater good of the country. Let ours not be a caravan of despair, but a caravan of hope. Thank you.